Well, I'm delighted today to be speaking to Marc Cohen at the Old Government House Hotel in Guernsey. We're going to be talking about Marc's relocation story to the island. Welcome, Marc.
Hi, David. Thank you.
So we're going to talk about your relocation to Guernsey, a bit about business, lifestyle, how you find the island. But first of all, it'd be great to hear just how long you've actually been resident here.
We've been here since, I think, early July 2018, so just over 5 years.
Okay, great. And just cast your mind back. I mean, when was it the first time that Guernsey came into your mind as a place you might want to live? And tell us a little bit about those first few visits.
So I think it was literally 6 months beforehand, and we figured out we wanted to move from where we were before, which was in Lugano in the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. And we wanted to move somewhere English-speaking, with a good business community near the UK, but not in the UK, and Guernsey seemed a natural fit.
And so Channel Islands just generally I imagine you also visited Jersey. I mean, there's obviously also the Isle of Man and other places, but I mean, how did you kind of narrow down beyond thinking about those things?
So there were some specific reasons why we ended up in Guernsey. I knew some people who had some businesses here. Isle of Man, I think we ruled out because of the weather, to be honest. And so this ended up just being the most natural fit for us.
And so you mentioned there the business community, you had some connections already.
Yeah.
How have you found the business community here? Has it been welcoming you in? Have you found it's been a useful source of sort of knowledge and insight?
I think that's been one of the most positive parts of my experience of coming to Guernsey. Was I got here, I knew a few people, but not many. I met them for coffee. Each of them introduced me to like 3 other people. Each of them introduced me to another 2 or 3 people. And soon, very quickly, I knew a lot of people. There's a big enough community of interesting people, but it's also small enough that everyone kind of knows everybody. And so that was really nice and easy to do in an organic way that I don't think I'd have found anywhere else.
And because you're a specialist in the financial services world, so did you find that there's a high level of expertise in niche areas like the international finance world? For its size, you've really got a very high level of interesting people and expertise based here.
For sure, in finance, and also there were entrepreneurs doing sort of some interesting things as well. So yeah, that was like very helpful.
And have you found on talking to people and reflecting, have you found new opportunities that given you new inspiration or any ideas around your business and how you do it? Or what's the benefit been of, do you think, interacting with the Guernsey community?
So when I got here, I was ready to do something new and I didn't quite know what that was. So I was take all those coffees, meet as many people as possible, figure out what that new path was. And so I was exploring all those different things and eventually settled down on venture capital investing, which is what I do now.
Fantastic. And tell us about the lifestyle side. I mean, you've got a family, got children here. Tell us what your family life is like.
Well, it's interesting because I've got 4 sons, and the oldest when we moved here, the oldest would have been 10 and the youngest 4. So I think that can be challenging wherever you live, but it's certainly a very nice place to bring up young children. It's very safe. You've got the beaches, which are obviously lovely in the summer. So yeah, all those things are really nice about living here.
And do you live in town in St. Petersburg? Do you live out? Whereabouts do you live on the island?
We live on or near the west coast. We're just renting somewhere while we finish our new build, actually, which we're quite excited to move into early in the new year.
Great. So you bought a plot of land now and are developing?
Yeah, we bought there was an older, smaller house that we knocked down and that we're building a larger house that we're really looking forward to move into.
Fantastic. And that'll give you the views, the peace and quiet you're looking for, and to design something from scratch is quite amazing, isn't it?
So that's been fantastic because it's in a lovely spot with a beautiful view of the beach. My wife's an interior designer, so she's had a lot of fun and challenges, but a lot of fun as well, fitting everything out and figuring out exactly how everything will look. So yeah, hopefully very soon we'll get to see the benefit of that.
When you first moved, how did you manage the property side? Did you come and rent? Did you find something quickly? What was it 5 years ago? How did you manage your transition?
So I think we've got, at the time, we had a dog as well, and so we had to find a place that would fit 6 of us and a dog, there were some places, but it was also somewhat challenging to find somewhere. But we found somewhere really nice that we liked. And we decided to rent first because I think that's good to get a feel for what it's like living in the different parts of the island. So we did that. Once we'd got that feel and we found somewhere we liked, we bought and decided this is where we want to settle.
And for children slotting into schooling, was that relatively straightforward?
It was relatively straightforward. It was actually one of the reasons, as contributory reason for us moving from Switzerland, because we'd had issues with the schools there. So making sure that there were schools that we liked was actually also an important component of our move.
And the community side, have you found it easy to socialise and make friends and settle in?
Yeah, I think so. I think like anywhere, you've got to find your
tribe,
find your tribe and find your niche. But they're there, and you will find them.
What are some of the things that you like doing here that you find easy to do here that, you know, allows you to sort of indulge those hobbies? Is there anything particular that you think the island offers people?
So there's a lot of sporting activity, and actually as a whole, the island sort of excels at producing sports people far more than it should do given the size. I think the other piece is that, you know, my wife and I both effectively having our own businesses, that can be challenging to stretch on people's time, and having schools that are near enough that if one of us is away, we can still get a full day's work in and be able to manage with the kids is something that you get here that you wouldn't get in a lot of places.
And do you find that the practicalities of connectivity is also good? So if you do need to make that meeting in London, or having lived here 5 years, do you find that obviously there's rough with the smooth on all regular travels, but do you find that overall it's pretty painless to get out and about and to be in the UK mainland kind of when you want?
Absolutely. So the 7 a.m. flight that goes into Gatwick, you can actually, because you don't need to do passport control at the other end, you can be in central London at like 9 or 9:30 if everything goes smoothly. So that's super helpful.
And do you feel permanently settled here?
I think so. We'll be here. We've built a house, you know, we've got our kids growing up, so we're definitely going to be here for a while, that's for sure.
And what aspects of Guernsey life do you find most satisfying? Do you have those moments where you're like, oh, I'm really glad that we've made this move? Is there anything particular that triggers those positive feelings?
So I think one thing I'm doing now, I've only really started doing this in the last couple of weeks, is when possible, not this week while my wife's away and I'm on the school runs, but where possible, I'm actually walking into work. It takes me about an hour. I walk in, I take my phone off. Because it's Guernsey, you're not just walking along a motorway or the busiest road in the world. It's quite nice, gives me some time, some thoughtful time. I live close enough that I can do that. If I want to get on my bike, I can just go do that. All those things are really nice. I think if you were in the UK, for example, it's just hard to live that close to where you work that you can do those things. And maybe the environment, even if you were close, isn't quite so nice to do that in.
Absolutely. And you're going to be part of the panel next week at the Relocate to Guernsey show. Are there any top tips you're going to be looking to deliver to people in the audience who are thinking about making a move here? I
think like moving anywhere, you should go and spend some time somewhere before you go there. I think I would advise, unless you're very settled on this is where I must live, rent for a little bit first to get a feel for the different parts of the island, because they do have different atmospheres. And then just, you know, it is a lovely, safe place to live, which there aren't many places in the world you can still say that about.